Redbird with $1 says, okay, I'm impressed. I take back everything critical I've ever said. Thank you, Redbird. I appreciate it. So Daily Wire is in a bit of, if you believe the rumors, and we're starting to get more of them, Daily Wire is starting to really feel a financial pinch, and more people are out at the Daily Wire. This seems like a little more than what I originally said, which was Daily Wire's getting ready to be bought out. They're going to, shuffle some things around. This is Benny's company is in trouble. What started with Jeremy Boring stepping down has now spiraled into mass layoffs and another firing of a senior executive. This is from James Lee, an independent journalist on Twitter. Alyssa Cordova, the VP of Public Relations, stepping down.
Well, who's firing people if Boring has stepped down? Who's in charge?
Well, these people, firing of a senior executive. Either the acting CEO or maybe Ben's in charge. Maybe Ben's taking back the company. Like, here's the thing. Daily Wire did the same thing that the Quartering did. The Quartering was complaining about losing $300,000 on his coffee company, right?
Right.
The problem is Jeremy Boring had this successful streaming career. He could have just kept riding that, making the money, being happy, paying his bills, making a little extra money. Great. But he had to have a coffee, and then he wanted to put the coffee on Amazon, and then he wanted to put the coffee in stores. It's like, why are you throwing money? You're not Jeremy the coffee guy.
You're Jeremy the Quartering guy.
Yeah, you're Jeremy the guy who gives remarkably lukewarm political takes that make Tim Pool look dangerous. That's who you are.
And you both wear hats. What is it with the hats thing?
Jeremy,
you guys suck with the hats.
Jeremy, or as we call him, Sleepy Crowder. What we call Jeremy from the Quartering. You just keep that going. You keep making money. You're all good. You're fine. But he wanted to be, I don't know, Mr. Folgers, I guess. And so that's not going well. He's throwing good money after bad, and he's $300,000 in the hole. Same thing with Daily Wire. People wanted Ben Shapiro, and they wanted who's the other guy? The guy with the beard who hates trans people so much you think he's probably sucking some trans dick on the side.
Matt Walsh?
Matt Walsh, thank you. The gay man north of Gaymond. Matt Walsh. He became a big thing on the Daily Wire. Well, Jeremy Boring, who I guess is like a suppressed theater kid, decided that what he wanted to do with all this money that Daily Wire was making from subscriptions and Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh and then at the time Brett Cooper and Candace Owens was he wanted to make a movie studio. He wanted to make the Gina Carano movies, and he wants to make some Dragon Game of Thrones gay remake shit. And he was going to burn all of Daily Wire's money being like the conservative Jewish Hollywood instead of the liberal Jewish Hollywood. And so he starts doing this, and as predicted by most people, nobody gave a shit. Like, nobody tunes into the Daily Wire and goes, I'd like to watch a movie.
Right. We show up for our hot political takes but don't worry, it's not the Jews.
It's actually what they're going to be when they rebrand. That's going to be the name of Ben's show. Don't worry, it's not the Jews with Ben Shapiro. And just like with Jeremy, nobody wants to drink Jeremy's coffee. They want to hear Jeremy's political takes so they can go to sleep. The Daily Wire, people don't want to watch movies. They don't want to watch streaming shows or documentaries. They want to hear Ben Shapiro's takes so they can argue with people. And then they want to hear Matt Walsh's takes so they can hate trans people. You know, that's your wheelhouse. Stay there. These guys inevitably start overextending. And I hate to suck his dick, which is a phrase I rarely ever use. I hate to suck his dick, but you know who does it right?
Who?
Glenn Beck. You want someone to follow in that conservative world? Glenn Beck does a show. He reports news. He hires people. Whenever Glenn Beck expands, it's more reporters, more people doing talk shows, Jason Whitlock, guys like that. It's not, hey, Glenn Beck wants to start making movies, because Glenn Beck knows he's not a movie maker. Ben Shapiro.
He did buy the set of All in the Family, though,
to use for his news show. Because growing up, Glenn Beck always wanted to have, he wanted Carol O'Connor to do a news show. And now he gets to live his dream. But so now Daily Wire starts throwing all this money at these stupid ventures that are outside their wheelhouse. And now it looks like the not only is the ship sinking, but it's accelerating really, really quick, the news that's getting out there. There was a thread on this Cordova, the VP of Public Relations, who was fired this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Sources say that Cordova was Jeremy Boring's minion. One was responsible for crafting the company's aggressive and paranoid media strategy. You know how like when Candace Owens left, they went like full on, she's an anti-Semite, like full court press attack on Candace Owens. And it kind of only made Candace Owens bigger. Apparently, this is the woman that designed all that, is this Alyssa Cordova. Cordova allegedly, and this is from James Lee, stalked former employees online, kept folders of clipped videos of their enemies. Now, that, if you've got people doing shows, I don't think that's
not necessarily a bad or wrong thing. If they're doing shows saying stuff about you or stuff that involves you, it's all right to keep a record of that.
Helped wage internal vendettas under the guise of PR. Oh my God. You know what I just realized? What if we all have to admit eventually that Crowder was right? Remember when Crowder was taping Jeremy Boring and he was saying all this, talking all that shit about Daily Wire?
Mm-hmm.
And we all went, dude, what the fuck is your problem? You're going insane. You're taping people's conversations. What if we find out that this Cordova and this Boring were fucking with Crowder and he's like, I got to film these pieces of shit. Nobody's going to believe this.
Okay. But then again, even so, the problem with that is the weirdest thing was he flipped out on an opening offer.
Yeah, maybe. You know what? Hopefully, here's the best case scenario for all this. Ben
They're
Shapiro,
both pieces of shit.
Right. Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire are in trouble. Jeremy Boring's a hunk of shit, but Crowder's still a piece of shit. That would be ideal. Then you've got mass layoffs. The Daily Wire is shuttering its kids division entirely. Roughly a quarter of the company. See, this is the problem. Why the fuck was Daily Wire having a kids division to begin with? You know, this is what some of these right-wing people do. They sit there and they talk about the left is brainwashing children. The left is using cartoons and shit to brainwash kids. And then what's the right's answer to it?
Let's do it too.
Yeah, let's make our cartoons that brainwash these kids the way we want to brainwash them. It's like, how about we stop using children as tug of war material for some culture war you guys are waging against each other? How about, and I thought this was what conservatives were supposed to be, how about somebody decides to be the leave the fucking kids alone people?
Right? That was the whole thing. I thought we were all agreement on this particular side of the field is we go, hey, how about at least we can understand one thing. Leave the fucking kids alone. We can have our arguments and disagreements. Keep Junior out of it.
You know who's ending up being like the best kids media personality for not, you know who's brainwashing children the least?
Bluey, but who?
The fucking Hamas mouse. All the Hamas mouse is doing is going, hey, Israel fucking bombs our people all the time. He ain't wrong. You know, he ain't wrong. The Daily Wire is like, you kids need to make sure that you tell people you've got dicks and vaginas, and that makes you boys and girls. And we're like, how about we don't do that? And then the left is like, if you want to cut off your dick, I won't tell your dad. It's all right, all of you, enough, stop it. We're turning to Hamas mouse, and then he can be our new big personality.
Because you always know what a grown man with baby balls looks like.
So the Daily Wire shuttering its kids division. Again, just spending, instead of taking the money they made on Shapiro and Cooper and Owens and Walsh, they took all that good money and threw it after bad things like movies and a kids division and all this other shit. Internally, people are furious. One source put it bluntly, if they let Jeremy go a long time ago, many people would still have jobs today. Everyone knows it. Oh, boy.
Does that include, like, say, Candace Owens? Because again, everything that happened with Candace Owens, was that a thing that happened? Maybe more
No,
so
that was a Benny Boy thing, and I'll tell you why. She was going hard against Israel with their bombing kids and shit like that. That was her and Ben were. You're not going to be able to be critical of Israel and have a job on the Daily Wire, which is fine. They're well within their rights to do that. That can be their policy. It's just that Candace Owens now seems bigger than she's ever been. Is all. And by the way, you can't say that Candace Owens wasn't a loyal attack dog, because remember how hard she went after Crowder?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, she was ruthless against Crowder. Then she started hanging out with Kanye and criticizing Israel, and Ben Shapiro's yarmulke grew 3 sizes that day, and he fired her black ass in a hurry. Ben went, all right, here's the deal. That mouthy Schwarza needed to go. Whoa, Jesus, Ben, what are we doing here? So with a quarter of the company gone and its core leadership in flames, the big question now is, what happens to the people still there? So now there's this movement online. People want Matt Walsh to go independent, and they want Michael J. Knowles to go independent. And then the rest of the people forgot that Andrew Klavan works there. Nobody has. I don't know if Andrew Klavan has pictures of Ben Shapiro sucking Jeremy Boring's dick. I don't know but Andrew Klavan has had this job on the Daily Wire, and no, I don't know anybody who ever posts anything from him, who watches him.
I'll be honest, I didn't know he worked for the Daily Wire.
Do you know who that guy is?
No.
That's Andrew Klavan.
I kind of figured, but I didn't want to guess. Yeah, no, he looks like somebody who's got a file of you and
right. He looks like a sci-fi channel budget superhero villain.
Oh, totally.
That's Andrew Klavan.
He's Lex Luger.
God bless the total package. He's going into the Hall of Fame this year. Congratulations. He deserves it. So that's the latest we have.
That's where that name came from.
Yeah, that's what we have from the Daily Wire. We also have this Dominic Michael Trippi, who's a political analyst. This weekend, breaking news, Daily Wire reportedly hires bankruptcy attorney and lays off 25% of its staff. So you have multiple sources saying a quarter of the staff is gone. We're talking about bankruptcy. We're shuttering the kids division. And again, I think the biggest travesty out of this whole thing is Andrew Klavan still has a gig. That's the biggest horror story out of this whole Daily Wire deal. Professor Tie-Dye with $1. I'm going back a little while here. Says the fact you knew him as French gay name and not Odo from Deep Space Nine tells me you need to be bullied more and are probably gay.
No, who made that comment?
That was Professor Tie-Dye.
Professor Tie-Dye, you realize Odo wore a shit ton of prosthetics and fucking shit. The fact that you remember him as Odo from Deep Space Nine gives you no.
Was that Rene Auberjonois?
Yeah, totally was.
Who played Odo?
It was Rene Auberjonois.
It was Rene Auberjonois. All right. Well, look, our people know some.
So that's why I couldn't criticize you too hard, because I too knew that the Reverend, and I didn't know his fucking name. I saw his face, and I'm like, dude, that's shapeshifter guy from Star Trek.
191. 191 Redbird with $1 says something doesn't smell right. Jeremy showed his bank statements recently and had over $4 million in savings. Wait. You put $300,000 for your coffee company on a credit card? And you got
but you have $400 million in savings?
No, not $400 million. Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ, $4 million.
Quartering. If the quartering had $400 million, there's no God. I can justify him making $4 million. That's fine. It's, that grift is very potent. But if he had 400, if he had as much money as Kanye West, I'd be upset. Zenman Builds with $1 says, don't forget Jeremy's razors and his catchy commercial for them. Oh, yeah. Do you remember when Jeremy Boring just was burning Daily Wire money promoting chocolates and razors and shit like that?
Yeah.
Remember his little trolley ideas?
Yeah.
Let's here.
The his and him and her
Daily,
chocolate.
yeah,
thing.
Daily Wire razors. Yeah, the greatest commercial ever. This was Jeremy Boring wanting to be an on-air personality. And yeah, he called himself the God King. Finally, one of theirs getting crucified, am I right?
Yeah.
Jesus.
You can't crucify him.
Do you remember when there were 2 genders and only 1.5 of them had to shave their mustaches?
I'm so glad that he's gone now. He deserves it for this. You remember when there were 2 genders? Oh, shit, look out.
Oh, hi. I'm Jeremy Boring, CEO and God King of the Daily Wire.
Former.
Harry's Razors used to advertise on our shows. They're a great product, and we were happy to do it. That's before some peon who works for me went and said that boys are boys and girls are girls. And that...
Matt Walsh.
Or Boring. Or not
Shapiro.
No, Shapiro, yeah.
I'm going Walsh.
Probably Walsh.
Walsh, if Walsh gets caught with a trans prostitute, there's going to be zero surprise from this side of the room. Because he's really like that.
Fixated upon it, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like, if he gets caught literally with trans dick in his mouth, you're not going to hear me go, oh, my God, who could have saw this coming? Everybody. Everybody could have saw this coming from Matt Walsh.
That was just too much for Harry's. They condemned our views. Views held by millions of Americans and virtually every human who's walked the planet until about 15 minutes ago as inexcusable. And they dropped their ads from our network because
he's
of what...
fucking terrible, dude.
Yeah,
There's nothing about him that holds you to the screen at all. So they were the Jeremy Boring era was, hey, Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh and Candace Owens, all these people, Brett Cooper, they're making us a shitload of money. What should we do? Let's make
movies.
Let's make shitty commercials, movies, and have a kids division. It's like, well, wait a minute. Why don't we just keep making money? Why don't we just keep generating profits? And then, like this Glenn Beck guy, he just hires more journalists and he goes out and gets stories and, he does things like that. And I'm sure Jeremy Boring numerous times went, don't you dare say the name Glenn Beck in my presence. We will smash Glenn Beck. Mormons aren't even people. Daily Wire chocolates. Yeah, this was the other thing. What was the, was it Hershey who did some kind of,
yeah, because they did the, like, they, them chocolates or whatever, or he, her, because it was Hershey. So it was like he, her, like they were playing on the Hershey name just because. And so then he did that with his, where it was his, or he, and then like
she, her, he, him. That was his. All right, let's see.
International Women's Day is upon us again. And I love an international woman. But our friends over at Hershey...
God, he is a tiny little fucker, isn't he? He is a...
Yeah, I would say short of stature.
He's a Hershey's Kiss. He's a little guy.
They don't even know what a woman is. They've hired a biological male to be the spokesperson for their Women's Day campaign. And they're calling that campaign, and I swear I'm not making this up, Her-She. Her-She. It's humiliating. And it's the reason that I'm launching...
You know what's even more humiliating?
You doing this.
Yeah, right. Hey, Ben, you see all the money you're generating? Yeah. You want to see how I pissed it away? Hey, look, gimmick chocolates.
Jeremy's chocolate.
By the way, that is not a king size candy. That's a normal size candy bar. Jeremy's just a little guy.
And why does it look like you wrote your name with jizz?
It does. It looks like he just had really good dick control and was able to sign his name in semen. Well, then you would think I would buy all the chocolate bars. Am I right? No, this is
Jeremy Boring. Proof that not every one of them is good with money.
The fucking ego on this guy, and that's coming from me, is insane.
chocolate. We have two kinds. She, her, and he, him. One of them's got nuts.
Michael Knowles and Brett Cooper? No, I'm serious. I know that's Michael Knowles. I don't know if that's Brett Cooper or not.
She's pretty.
If you need me to tell you which one it is, keep giving your money to Hershey's. But if you're tired of giving your money to woke corporations that hate you, and you're looking for a delicious chocolate bar from a company that actually wants your business, head over to IHateHershey's.com and order Jeremy's chocolate.
Oh, that'll work well.
I'm the CEO of a company, but I got to put my name on everything. And if you don't want an executive producer who'll be all in the videos, all at the award shows, come to the Blaze, baby. I want to see Glenn Beck and Jason Whitlock make the Suge Knight Def Jam Awards speech.
It'd be interesting.
It would be, and then all of a sudden it just ends with like Ben Shapiro and getting shot down in Vegas, and then Glenn Beck getting whacked as a response. And you're like, oh my God, we need to stop this East Coast, West Coast conservative beef. It's getting too real. Good God. Bigot on socialist media says, if I watched this without knowing who they were, I'd think it was a gay chocolate.
Right?
Well, all chocolate is gay chocolate if you eat it
Yeah,
seductively.
but the outfit, like, and he wore it in both of them. I don't know what it is with that fucking sweater thing with the G's on it, but...
Oh, I can help you with that.
What's that?
He's a douche.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Does that make sense now?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jeremy Boring's a douche.
Yeah, it's not a big stretch. I could see that fitting perfectly fine, yeah.
So he's out at the Daily Wire, and I guess 25% of their staff is gone as well. And rumor has it, being reported by a couple of outlets, that the Daily Wire has hired a bankruptcy attorney. Good job, Jeremy. Kicking at, and they're shuttering the kids division, which everybody loved that.